Hi guys, it's me again, and this is video number 4 of my series, Learn How to Write and Produce a Song. So in my last couple of videos, I showed you how I came up with this whole creative process of making this song. I showed you how I arranged my tracks, and I showed you how I came up with the lyrics to the song. All right, so in this one, I'm going to show you how I mixed and mastered. And so mixing involves panning, adding inserts, adding sends to tracks or group tracks, creating the group tracks, adding insert channels to group tracks or individual tracks, and automation. So let's dive in. So let's talk panning, volume, and automation. So each of these allow individual tracks to have its own space inside the song. You know, it prevents clutter. When it comes to panning, I think of, let's say, 16 people trying to go into one room through the same door all at once. Nobody could fit through. It's really cluttered. It's really unorganized. Now imagine those 16 people having maybe 5 doors to go through. And so now it's a little more organized. People take their time. It's nice and smooth. So that's the same thing. The same thing applies to 16 tracks. You don't want everything coming down the center of your speakers. You want some things to be in the middle, some things to be to the left, some things to be to the right. The volume as well. You don't want your kick drum, which is really low, to be really high up there with the volume. You don't want your drums to be on the same side as your violins. You want to have everything in its own individual space, and automation helps that too, because some things, like I'll show you later with my ambience, it goes up and down throughout the whole thing just so it allows other things to come through. Okay, so let's talk about automation real quick. Now you could automate many different things. You could automate volume, which I did for the ambience. I'm trying to let you just hear the automation of ambience. Okay. You can hear that it goes up and down. Okay, so like I said, you could automate volume. There's something else that I automated. Oh. So I did volume for my lead, but then I also did these throws. Automate that. Can be together. So basically you could automate anything. Your inserts, your volume, your delays. So it's pretty cool. So do that. So because it adds just a different atmosphere. It makes your song fun and not boring. So automate. I have an automation video, so go check that out. Okay, so now let's check out these inserts and sends. We're going to start with the ambience. So this is how it sounds. So my ambience is simply me dragging the chord track down to ambience. Now I'm going to let you hear it prior to the inserts. It's really loud. So what I decided to do, initially I wanted to drop it down low, but when I dropped it down low, it sounded distorted and kind of ugly to me. So I just pushed it up 1 octave. But it was still loud. I didn't want it louder than the vocal or anything else. So I put a filter on it. It's called From Dusk Till Dawn. Then it dropped down. Now, when it's playing in the song, you really don't hear it. Now, it's apparent right here during this little break. It's like a bridge between the verse and the pre-chorus. So without it, it sounds like this. You hear the piano dragging, but you don't hear anything there. But with it, it sounds pretty cool and kind of helps the song to keep on going. All right, so let's check out this piano. Prior to inserts, my piano was a plain piano. I added EQ to it. I added modulation to it and a compressor. So it sounds really cool along with the ambience. Pretty cool. Okay, so I have this violin. I did the same thing to the violin as I did with the ambience. All I did was bring the chord progression down and put it in the violin. I only have EQ on that. Let's talk about my shaker. It needed a shaker in this song. So this is how it sounds after I put the inserts on. And this is how it sounds before. It's really loud. It's really in your face. But as I was saying, you don't want everything the same level, the same volume. So I have an EQ on it. My EQ is, shaker. I dropped it down an octave. Then I have a filter on it, so it's called In the Mix, which makes it really low. So you do hear it, but it's not as loud. So I love my shaker. Okay, let's look at these guitars. Okay, so my first guitar, I have EQ on it, and it's called picked guitar. My compressor is a picking guitar as well. My third guitar, I have an EQ on it, picked guitar as well. My compressor is a clean rhythm guitar. Then there's a filter on it that's called In the Mix. So that's it without it. In the Mix pulls it back. That way it's in there, but it's not too loud. I don't want it above the vocals. So it's really in the mix. My second guitar. So I have an EQ on it, and it's strummed acoustic. The compressor is strummed acoustic as well. Then there's the filter that it's called Lenny. So without the Lenny, it's really loud. And with the Lenny, it's a little more laid back, just like this one over here. So my drums. Okay, let's look at this drum kit. So for the drum kit, I have an EQ on it, and it's a basic drum loop kit. EQ. Then for my kick was so low, I could not hear it. Here's my kick. You could barely hear it. So I added EQ to it, which was for an 808. I added distortion to it. Just basic distortion. Then I have a stereo enhancer for drums. Then I put a limiter on it. So it brought it out. The limiter is for more kick punch. And these are the same. This is I don't know why I did this, but this is an 808 down here, and this is the same drum kit. So let's check out the synths. As I stated in the other video, this is my favorite. Okay, so okay. So these Mystics are the same, but I added to it. So this was the original Mystic right here. And this is just chords. I brought it down just like I did the violin. Just the chords, simple. Added EQ to it. Now for this Mystic right here, I have an EQ on it. I have a pitch correct. I brought it down. Then I put a filter on it called From Dusk Till Dawn, so it's really in the mix. And I put this little insert on it, or patchy. So that's what makes it sound like really off, but you know what I mean. So then, as you can see, there's Mystic 1, Mystic 2, and Mystic 3. So each time it progresses, it gets louder. So for the second one, my filter is called Foxwah, so it's louder. Really cool. First, second, then my third one, its filter is called In the Mix, so it's actually in the mix. It's not so low. So I really love it because it helps the song move forward. For this synth, it's just the EQ on it. Okay, so let's look at these vocals, which I love. So the vocals, here we go. I have a lot of things going on with my vocals. I have 2 delays on them. I have like a smooth delay with reverb on it. Then I have a side chain one. I also have distortion. I have slapback, HPF, LPF. Because I have backgrounds, I have harmonies, I have leads, 2 leads, and then I have a bridge. So let's kind of dive in there. So for my lead, I have a gate basically on all of my vocals because I had dogs barking in the background. I have an EQ, which is a simple lead vocal EQ. I have R&B lead vocal compression, and I don't know why I have another EQ on there, don't ask. I do have automation on here. I have delay. I have a delay throw. So these are the delay throws right here. This is automated. So listen for that. together, and I have it curved so it could come down really slow and not really hard. So for my second lead, it's a duplicate of the first one. The only difference, I have a de-esser on it. And not only that, but I have, let's see, what did I put on this? I have distortion on it. So let's listen to the difference. It's a send. I know you and I can be together. So as you hear, as the note raises, the more raspy it sounds. It sounds like a, how would I describe it? Like a telephony, a little raspy. Listen to this one. This is the first one without it. Very smooth. Now, there is a delay on the first one, which is a stereo delay. Then I also have the delay throws. This one, I don't have the stereo delay or delay throws on it. It just the distortion. So that was smooth, like I said, and this one is more raspy. So listen to it together. You and I can be together. Okay, cool. So now let's look at the bridge. My bridge, I put on its own, individual track because I have a slapback on it. So I have I inserted it. Yeah. So that's my modulation. It's a slapback. So it sounds completely different than the lead vocals. So the lead vocals sound like this. So listen to the difference. Do you remember all the stuff you said? Do you remember all the promises? Do you remember the sweet love we made? Do you remember how we reenact? Do you remember telling me you'd be alright? Do you remember telling me we asked for life? For life, for life, for life, for life. Do you remember all the stuff you said? Do you remember all the promises? Do you remember the sweet love we made? Okay, so there's automation here too. I have throws as well, just a couple throws on that. And then the end, it's this little 1-1. It makes it really throw. So it sounds really cool. Okay, so my backgrounds aren't, I didn't have to make too much of a modification to it, only because it's not like harmony that you want to make it different, so it sounds individual in your ears. But I did add, let's see, for this one, I have a modulation and a filter on it, so it sounds like this. Look at my phone. I'm searching. I'm lonely. I'm hoping you pick up when I call. I'm hoping. I'm loving you. It's cool. So it's called like telephone voice. Then it also has this tremolo thing going on to it. So I really like it. And for the second background, it's just like an EQ, so it's nothing fancy. Now for my harmonies, let's see. One is low and one is high. So I have a low pass filter on the low one and a high pass filter on the high one. So this is the low one. And here is my high one. So that's how they sound together. So this is, let's see. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Sounds pretty good. So let's see, what else do we have going on here? Then we just have the group tracks. So my lead vocals are not in a group track. All the background and the harmony are in the background vocal group track. My guitars are in the guitar group track. My drums, I don't have the kick inside the drum group track. I have the kick alone. Had to be an individual. My other instruments are the shaker, the ambience, the piano, the violin. My synths, all my synths are in there. Now, generally you want to have, the purpose of group tracks are to add inserts to each individual track without doing it individually. You just want it to add it to the group. But majority of my tracks, I had to put individual like compressors and EQs just because the way, let's just say for instance, my guitars, some are picked and some are strummed, so I couldn't put the same type of EQ and compressor on them. But then there are, let's see. For the background vocals, I was allowed to put the same EQ, compressor, and a, let's see, what is this thinking? Oh, distortion. Distortion on all of those tracks because they were very similar. If they're similar, put it in a group. And not only that, if you put it in a group, you don't have to adjust each individual volume. So that's A+. All right, let's move on to mastering. Okay, so last but not least, mastering. So I'll show you what is on my mastering bus. So I have EQ on it, and it has R&B master. There's so many different ones to choose from. For the I have a multi-band compressor, and I have an R&B master on there. All these parameters you could, you change according to your ears, how it sounds to you. I have a limiter. I put push it louder. It was the best one for me because it was kind of low initially. Then I have a distortion on it, this the tube, and it is a mastering setup. From there, it was a little loud and it was clipping, so I pulled it down. And it's on -2, so it's not clipping. Okay, guys. If this video has helped you in any way and you like it, please like, comment,